What's up, everybody? Tomorrow we're getting the brand new season of Apex Season 18 Resurrection, and so that means today the patch notes came out. We're going to go ahead and run through those. There's some stuff that I covered in a previous video when they put out a blog post highlighting stuff such as the Rev rework, the Charge Rifle rework, so I'm going to kind of skip over that stuff today. I'm going to have that link down below, video for it, and the EA blog post if you want to check that stuff out for yourself. Also, my Twitch will be linked down below. I'll be live about 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for probably till pretty late for the new update day. So if you want to come check me out live, you want to come talk shit about how bad I am, whatever, come check me out. Twitch is linked down below. But let's go ahead and run through all this stuff. Legend update Revenant. Like I said, I talked more in depth previous video, his previous blog post. So I'm going to link that stuff down below. There's also an It's Timmy video with a Apex dev that goes in depth about that. I'll link that down below as well, so you can get the full information on it. But his passive is Assassin's Instinct. It highlights low health enemies. If you're the one who gets them low health, the Revenant, then it highlights it for your whole team. Crouch walk faster like normal. You can go climb higher and faster, but now you also move more horizontal. Shadow Pounce is a charged up jump where you can leap far. And Forged Shadows, you get this shadow shield like around you. It's got 75 health. If you get it down, it regens. If you're regenning and you take damage, it stops regenning. Like I said, I talk more in depth about that in my last video about it. The Resurrection map rotation for pubs is going to be Broken Moon, Kings Canyon, and Olympus. It's going to be obviously the same rotation for ranked, more than likely, and then they'll probably change about halfway the season. I think there's going to be no splits again this season. I think they're completely getting rid of splits, but about halfway through the season, we'll get an event, and then along with that event, we will get a map rotation change, more than likely, such as this season. There's big rumors about a change coming to Storm Point, which is why you don't see Storm Point here. If you've logged in recently within the last few days, you probably got a login reward of a loading screen that's like a news weather report about storms on Storm Point. So we're expecting some Storm Point changes. Now we got a new ring update. It says ring behavior across maps and BR has been updated with targeted tunings, including ring size, damage, timings to several game phases to improve pacing in early and mid game. Here's an in-depth look. This will be really good for really just Kings Canyon, Olympus, and Storm Point, or not Olympus, sorry, Kings Canyon, Storm Point, and Broken Moon, but especially Broken Moon, where that map just feels so big. Ring size changes. Ring 1 has increased 10% in radius per map, resulting in approximately 20% larger Ring 1 surface area. No other ring sizes have changed. Ring damage changes. Ring 2 damage increased from 3 per tick to 4 per tick, and Ring 4 damage reduced from 20 per tick to 15 per tick. So now Ring 2, you'll still be able to live in it. You'll still be able to go res your teammate in it. And depending on where in zone, your teammate will be able to make it out with just 2 medis like before. But you won't be able to live in it as long, which I think is part of that is to combat the ratting. Because they didn't completely change rank to where placement is useless. But this is going to combat the ratting a little bit here. And then Ring 4 is just a death sentence, as we know. So taking off 5 health per tick or damage per tick is going to help you not die immediately. It's really brutal, like late game. If it's Ring 4, you could be a little low health and the ring could touch your heel and just instant death. This will help with that. Timing changes. Round 1 pre-shrink time reduced from 90 seconds to 75 seconds. So when everybody lands in from the ship, they show where the ring is. From then you have 90 seconds till the ring starts to shrink. Now you're only going to have 75 seconds for the ring to start shrinking. So a little bit less time before you have to rotate, but 15 seconds isn't really too much. Shrink speed on small maps reduced. Shrink speed on large maps reduced. Both of them reduced. The small map was reduced by 7 seconds. The large maps reduced by about 15 seconds. Shrink time standardized to about 260 seconds on each map. Round 2, pre-shrink reduced from 165 seconds to 120 seconds. So now this is a big change. This is 45 seconds less time you have before we start to shrink in round 2 as well. Shrink speed, though, has been reduced from 160 to 140. So now it's going to shrink a little bit slower, and the shrink time is increased by about 25 seconds per map. So you have less time between rings, but the rings are going to take a little bit longer to collapse. Round 3, pre-shrink time reduced from 135 seconds to 90 seconds. Once again, we're losing 45 seconds before it shrinks. Round 4, pre-shrink time reduced from 105 seconds to 90 seconds, so another 15-second change, which isn't huge. Shrink speed reduced from 100 to 85, and shrink time increased from 40 seconds to about 50 seconds. So once again, it's going to shrink quicker, or it's going to start to shrink in a shorter amount of time than it did before, but it'll shrink a little bit slower. Round 5, pre-shrink time reduced from 90 seconds to 75 seconds, speed reduced from 50 to 40, and shrink time increased from 40 seconds to 50 seconds. So same thing once again. Maximum match length has been shortened. Small maps were about 19 minutes, or are about 19 minutes. It was about 21 and a half minutes, and this is just their estimates based off of their shrink timings, and you know how long it's going to take to shrink, so they're pretty much calculating approximately the longest it would take for the ring to be completely collapsed, where the entire map is in storm now or in ring, and you start dying by the ring, how long it would take for it to die. And large maps were about 20 minutes. They're going to be about 22 and a half minutes. So here's your ranked update. It was highlighted a little bit in their ranked blog, but they didn't talk about specifics. Here they're talking about specifics. I can go ahead and link the ranked blog below, and that Resurrection Highlights blog is what I was referring to earlier. So those will both be linked down below if you want to check out the details they gave over there. But the ranked rewards are what they highlight in the Resurrection Highlights. Quick note, you won't get trails anymore. You'll get banners for getting diamond and up. So now the placement points are going to change a lot. If you are so anything under diamond, diamond plus, I'm assuming that includes diamond in it as well. But anything under diamond, your placement points are here. I'm not going to go and read off all the numbers. You can pause here or check out the link below if you want to go through them all yourself. But the big thing to note here, and was a big criticism of it, now that when you're diamond and masters and pred, it's going to change significantly. The big change here is that now when you get 10th place, you're not going to be automatically positive no matter what your level is, whereas you were going to be plus 20 in Season 17. You're going to be 0. You're going to have 0 LP from placement until you get to 8th place, and then that's only going to be 10. And the placement points, once you get to 8th place, are the same for Diamond Plus, but what's big is how much more negative you are. Instead of being minus 50 all the way up until, instead of being minus 35 all the way up until 14, and then minus 25 through 11, and then 20 at 10, you're going to be minus 50 if you're under Diamond all the way up through 14. Then you're going to be minus 30 in 13, 12, and 11. But if you're Diamond Plus, we have negative 75 all the way up to 14, and negative 45 through 11th. So it's going to be a lot harder to actually rank up, and you won't be able to just rat as easily. So the combination of less points for placement total, more placements required to go positive, will mean that you can't just as easily rat your way up. I mean, you still can, and you could in any season. In Season 18, it's still going to be easier to rat than previous seasons besides 17 to rat up the ranks, but it won't be as easy as Season 17. So they said a small portion of elimination bonus is exempt from bonus withholding due to mismatch matchmaking rating and LP. This value increases based on the player's matchmaking rating. Skill and rating bonuses have been dramatically reduced, and its elimination bonuses are increased slightly. And that's crossed out for it to say, we mentioned in our July 2023 rank blog that we were bumping up the elimination bonus slightly. In our attempt to reduce the master spike, we identified the need to instead reduce the overall points given within the whole system. Instead of bumping his plan, we took a different approach and reduced placement scores to make eliminations more valuable when compared to the now lower placement score. The big thing I think here is to see how it really works, because they give you bonuses based off of how your matchmaking rating, which they've never really given us details about and probably won't, compares to the person you killed. So if my matchmaking rating, we're just going to use a scale of 10, is 5 out of 10 and yours is 6 out of 10, I'm going to get a bonus for killing you, but you won't get a bonus for killing me because I'm considered a lower skilled player than you are, so you're not going to get a bonus. I think you should get a kill bonus no matter what, even if it's just 1 LP per kill. And, you know, it should be like 1 LP per kill. If the person's higher than you, it's 2, and if they're way higher than you, it's 3. And if they're a pred and you're silver, it's 4, whatever. They don't use your rank anymore to determine that. It's your MMR, which we don't know anything about, which I just think is absurd. So now let's get into the actual patch notes about the armor, guns, all that. The armor changes here, white to blue Evo points. Now instead of 150 damage to go up to blue, it's now 200, but the crafted Evo points are now increased to 200, which is really interesting because they're not changing the armor values anywhere else. That means now if you're of a white armor, you craft once, it's up to 200. But it doesn't change back to 150 for the upper, so now you'll actually have to craft less often if you like to craft your armor up. Or, like, if you're on blue and you need 300, well, now you craft once, you only need 100, right? Instead of needing 150 and having to craft twice. But now if you craft twice, you're going to be 50 further into purple than you would have been if you just kept crafting up your armor and you went white to blue to purple. Now you're going to be an extra 50 points further ahead. Interesting change. I think they should have just changed the blue to 200 and then not touch the craft points. But you know, or they could have just left it. I thought it was fine the way it was. And fixed overflow damage on level up applies to the next tier. A fixed overflow damage on level up applies to next tier. I'm not quite sure what that means. They might be talking about the crafting. I won't really be able to know until I actually play it and actively think about it. The crafting rotation, the Rampage, and the R9 are out. The Nemesis and Mozam with hammer points are in. Double tap, trigger, and hammer point rounds are out of the loot pool. Boosted loader, which when you reload, when you're low, overload your mag. Essentially, you get more ammo in your mag. And the disruptor rounds, which do more damage to armor, are now added in rotation. Disruptor is going to only be on the, what was it? It was the PK, and I don't remember. I think they touched on it again. It's in my last video. I don't know why I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, PK and alternator. That's what it is. Care package weapon rotation. The Hemlock is now out of the care package, with its ADS recoil increase compared to the care package. Its damage reduced from 23 down to 22, and its headshot multiplier down to 1.75, 1.8. This is still stronger than it was when it went into the care package, but every gun, as you know, comes out weaker than it was in the care package, but it is buffed overall compared to what it was previously. The Prowler is now going into the care package, so of course it's getting a buff. Its damage is going, its base damage is up to 16 from 15, and now it has select fire, which I know the older players, much older than I have, or the longer time players than me, have been dying for select fire to come back to the Prowler. I know they also want it on the Havoc, but back on the Prowler in the care package, and it's defaulting to full auto, so you have to switch it back to burst. It's going to be super fun and super interesting. Gold weapon rotation is this season. It's going to be the Hemlock, the Peacekeeper, the Alternator, the Rampage, the Charge Rifle. Okay. Peacekeeper's interesting. Now that they have the gold bolt, you'll have a gold stock on it. It'll be interesting to see that as a gold. Loot spawn changes. Blue and purple weapon attachment spawn rate reduced by 20%. Blue and purple armor spawn rate reduced by 30%. So they really want you to earn your armor. It's interesting that they're nerfing the spawn rate for blue attachments. I could see doing it for purple and gold, but blue is interesting. Now we have the charge rifle rework, which I touched on again. Essentially, now you have to charge it up, and it shoots one projectile. The projectile's got a lot of drop, and the farther the projectile travels, the more damage it does. But you have to fully charge it to release that projectile. And that's going to be 50 meters, 75 damage, and it's got to go all the way up to 300 meters to get that extra damage. It's 110. And then it also has a pass-through, 80% damage, so now you can collap people. And there's no more hit scan, no more pre-fire laser showing where you're firing from. New charge mechanics I touched on. It fires only at 100% charge. You cannot shoot it at a lower charge. Now you can add extended sniper mags to it with ammo base 4, and then there's 5, 6, and up to 8. And it only uses 1 ammo instead of 2. I always thought it was dumb. You should have just made the mag smaller and used 1 round, but whatever. Now it only uses 1 round with being able to extend the mag. And handling time is adjusted. Tactical reload time decreased to 3.5 seconds, was 4, and empty reload time decreased to 4.6 seconds, was 5.1. I'm super interested in how the charge rifle plays, and I'm really excited to get my hands on it, actually, because now it'll actually have some skill to it. All SMGs, R99, Alternator, Car, and Volt, all have strafe speed reduced from 0.85 down to 0.75, and headshot multiplier reduced to 1.25 down from 1.5. The R9 was also nerfed, vertical recoil slightly increased, ammo capacity reduced. They reduced it 2 on the base ammo, 1 on the white mag, 1 on the blue mag, and 1 on the purple and gold mag. The M600 Spitfire, the Spitty, they added barrels for improved stability. They added ADS recoil they improved the ADS recoil, and hipfire spread slightly improved. They're trying to get this thing back into being a meta gun. The recoil on it isn't brutal, but it's worse than like an R3, so why wouldn't I use an R3? It's not any really better than the flatline, so why wouldn't I use a flatline? And the Hemlock, you just mostly got to pull straight down, so why would you ever use a Spitfire, right? I mean, it's not like it kills crazy fast and can be turbocharged like the Devo, so there's just it doesn't have a use. Same thing like, and the L-Star is in the care package, but it does extra damage on armor, so there's been no use for the Spitfire. The Mastiff, the blast pattern was tightened, so now that's more competitive shotgun. In my opinion, other than the Mozam, I think it's the worst shotgun. I think it's worse than the Eva. I know you could argue either one, but it was a much needed buff. The hop-ups, the boosted loader is now coming back to the Hemlock and the Wingman. Reloading when near empty will speed up reloading and overload the magazine. The overload ammo for the Hemlock is 9. The Wingman, it's 3, so you get extra 9 and an extra 3. Disruptor rounds are coming to the Alternator and the Peacekeeper. That increases damage against shields. The Alternator shield damage increased by 20%, and the Peacekeeper shield damage per pellet is increased by 25%. So that's huge. If you push into a building with a PK with this disruptor rounds, now if you got disruptor rounds on it against armor, instead of doing 9, it's going to do 11. And that's, that's obviously the lower damage. It's 1 pellet hitting in like the arm or something, right? And so that's actually a big buff when you can throw disruptor rounds on a Peacekeeper. That's super interesting. Double tap triggers removed, so that affects the E8 and the G7. Grenades, the frag grenade, the outer radius increased to 350 units, whatever their unit distance is. That was 320, and inner radius increased to 125 units. So frag grenade, big buff. I'm finally starting to get better at vertinating, so I'm super excited about that. Thermite, adjusted fire, visual effects to better match damage area. I didn't notice that problem with that, but now I think they're trying to align it more where you actually take damage. There must have been outer edges where you're not taking damage when it looks like you should be. Legends, Revenant Reborn. He, other than what we talked about before, he's now a skirmisher instead of assault, and he's got his new abilities. For the Legends, the ultimate cooldowns for a lot of Legends were nerfed. Bangalore's ult now takes an extra 60 seconds. Catalyst's takes an extra 30 seconds. Gibby actually got buffed at 90 seconds less. Horizon's another extra 30 seconds. Loba is an extra 30 seconds. An ultimate accelerant grants 25% ult charge up from 20% for Loba, so that actually got a buff, but her overall time got nerfed. Mad Maggie got an extra 30 seconds. Pathfinder got an extra 60 seconds, but as long as you can still look at care packages and recharge it, that's not too big of a deal. And Wraith actually got 30 seconds less. Interesting. I know all the sweaty Wraith mains that like to quit right away are happy. Tactical updates, so your Qs. Ballistics Whistler, his smart pistol, reduced delay by an overheated weapon, starts cooling down to 1 second. Reduced how long it takes an overheated weapon to cool down to 8 seconds. So it's actually a nerf to his Whistler pistol, which I thought was fine the way it was. Loba's Burglar Best Friend, so her bracelet, her cooldown is reduced now down to 25 seconds, so it's a buff to Loba. Seer's Q, the slowdown duration is down to 5 seconds. It was 2.5 seconds, which was way too long. Half a second seems a little short. Maybe do like 0.75, 1 second. I do like seeing Seer nerfed in the ground, but I also don't want any Legends to be useless. That's why I love the Rev rework. Silence duration is now down to 8 seconds, was 10 seconds. Hey, without Rev silence in there, I guess it's good to have some silence. And I like that's a good nerf. That's not completely taking it away, but it was a little bit strong. And firing speed of his Q increased to 1.4 seconds, was 0.9 seconds. I think you could have done it to like 1.2, but that's a good nerf in my opinion. Maps, Broken Moon, parts of Broken Moon Production Yard in the core were added to Mixtape, which I highlighted in my last video and they did in their last blog post. Broken Moon had multiple rat spots removed. Kings Canyon had multiple rat spots removed. And World's Edge, smooth legend movement on road edges. Good, because like just last night I was playing with my buddy and he tried to get up onto that like the elevated highway and he just slid right off where he should have been able to mantle. World Systems, crafting workbenches, survey beacons, and ring consoles removed exclusion radius that caused some POIs to get these objects more than other. All POIs now have an equal chance of receiving a ring console, survey beacon, or crafting workbench. That's a good change. It's really frustrating when you see like the same POIs over and over again have those things. Modes, control, capture bonus, bounty reduced by 20 seconds. Capture time reduced to 10 seconds. Score limit reduced to 1,000. Spawn waves removed. Players should spawn instantly at the location they choose, including home base, capture points, and MRB, mobile respawn beacon. Timed events, airdrops, mobile respawn beacon, capture bonus should all start about 30% sooner in match time. Bug fixes. I'm not going to go through all these bug fixes because I don't think there's any super important ones in terms of like playing. I'm just skimming through them, but like once again, you can read it yourself if you would like. I'm gonna have this link down below, or you can pause the video here. But I don't think that there's any anything big other than fixed support beacon bins occasionally being prevented from providing survival items, heat shield, or mobile respawns. In game, no longer clear. Players should now properly spectate a player who knocked or killed them. Players can no longer get stuck in Trident's collision box. Picking Icarus Vault from the map won't present a malformed string. Predator badge no longer fades away on the champion screen. Reduce the. There's nothing super big here. Specters no longer standing catalyst piercing spikes. Yeah, there's nothing super big there. Audio, hopefully it's fixed. I have been getting the worst audio of my life in Apex lately, so this is welcome if it actually works. Fixed animation, not playing audio in rare cases. Don't care about that. But improved prioritization for certain enemy movement sounds, aka footsteps. So they're saying they improve the priority of footsteps over like gun sounds, grenade sounds, environmental sounds, trident, whatever. The footsteps should take place over more sounds, which when you're not getting footsteps, sometimes it's probably because there's other audio playing and the game chooses to play that audio instead of the footstep audio. Player movement transitions no longer occasionally play duplicate audio events. Okay. But the improved prioritization for certain enemy movement sounds is what Apex players are dying to be fixed. Or part of the problem that needs to be fixed. Legends. Ballistic car SMG doesn't default to heavy ammo after being converted to a golden gunsling with light ammo. Tempest no longer applies to teammates when friendly fire enabled in firing range. Pathfinder's voicemails during an Ash heirloom inspect no longer stretched on 1610 resolutions. Gibby and Bangalore fix ultimates not triggering if thrown at zip rail launcher and skydive towers. Fix ultimates not cooldown if they're killed while holding the ultimate grenade. Horizon lethal last skin no longer obstructs ADS on Prowler with 1x hollow. Lobo Lunar Wolf skin no longer has broken mesh. Rampart Sheila's ammo counter now correctly rotated. Maps Broken Moon added building west of core to minimap. Interesting to see what that'll be. A small change. It's like it's under the bug section, but I don't know. Lutic now correctly drops loot at production yard. I did run into that issue once. Removed invisible collision above playing field. Olympus indoor props without collision no longer blocks picking up loot. Modes, firing range, ballistics, whistlers no longer hurt across firing range when shot at the ground. Dummies no longer occasionally shoot while set to inactive. Small doors audio and FX no longer heard / seen across firing ranges. Weapons, leftmost ammo and squad member unit frames now represent their currently equipped weapon. L-Star lower ammo indicator now only appears when ammo is actually low. P2020 fixed high inaccuracy with first shots using ADS. Well, P2020 is still going to be bad. Quality of life changes. Firing range, dynamic dummy spawning now remains off when you die. Okay. Legend ultimates will now be fully charged after loading the firing range, swapping legends dying. I think ultimates in the firing range should just always be charged, or you should have a setting that can turn them on and off. They added a new Nessie and more, whatever that means. I don't ever hunt the Nessies. French in-game lobby chat now available when language set to French on console. Corrected French translation of RO301 Mastery Challenge level 20. Kill feed will now call out when a player has been removed from the match. So Warzone's doing a similar thing where it's going to say cheater was removed, essentially. Multiple stickers can now be placed. Players can longer interact with enemy hollow sprays through walls. Ranked progress bar no longer balances value while sitting on match summary screen. Seer exhibit AR throw, such as Q, is no longer offset from the ground. No longer gives false impression, or not Q, his ultimate, of where the ultimate will land. Support perk crafting banners. After grabbing your first banner, you can now immediately grab the second one as well. I think it's always been that. It's been that way for like a season or two now in death boxes, and I don't know why that wasn't immediately that way in the crafter. And finally, weapon mastery. New animated celebration sequences when unlocking and completing trials, as well as mastering weapons. New animated icon in the HUD weapon element when a weapon is level 100. So that's all the patch notes we have. Like I said, I'll link below their highlights, their ranked blog that they put out, my video for those highlights, the It's Timmy tweet going over Rev more, so that way you can be fully informed heading into the season tomorrow. Like I said, if you want to, my Twitch is also linked down below. Please come check me out if you feel so inclined. When the season drops tomorrow, I will be live, like I said, about 5 p.m. Eastern, maybe 5:30. Just depends on how my workday finishes tomorrow. But come check me out live. Ask me questions about the new season. Talk to me about the new season. Just want to see what the Rev looks like. Anytime I can, whenever somebody in my squad doesn't pick Rev, I will be playing Rev all day tomorrow. So come check me out. All my other socials are also linked down below. Please feel free to follow me, interact on those socials. Always makes my day when someone does. But please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification so you know when my Rev video comes out. If you're into Warzone, when Warzone content comes out, and whatever content I decide to put out in the future, hit that notification bell so you can be first. And let me know in the comments what you think below of the updates to the weapons, the Rev rework, possibly having changes to Stormpoint coming, the rank changes. Let me know what you think about this new season and what your high hopes are, what your low hopes are, what you're worried about. Let me know what you think down below. But I will see you in Season 18 with the new Rev rework, the Charge Rifle rework. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.